Hey guys, this is Dougie Fresh with Flippin' Pucks and Chuckin' Knucks. Just gonna give our little weekly recap and a look ahead into this coming week in Washington Capitals hockey. If you read my weekly recap last week, you know I was pretty high on Vitek Vanacek. I thought he had taken the starting spot from Sammy Samsonov, and Peter Laviolette agreed. I did mention that I expected Sammy to get a start despite the fact that Vanacek was playing well. The biggest test on the schedule this week was going to be Colorado in my eyes, so I thought Vanacek would get that start. But it looked like Laviolette decided to go with Sammy, and I expected it to be a tough game. Obviously, Colorado was missing Landeskog to his second game of his 2-game suspension, but they did happen to get McKinnon back off a COVID protocol. He tested negative the day before, so he was inserted into the lineup. So I was definitely really curious to see how the game was going to go. But the Capitals kind of just demolished the Avalanche. They played a really good team game. Uh, kind of hard to get a good look at Sammy because he wasn't tested that much. He kind of looked like he was falling asleep a little bit on a couple of those goals because he wasn't seeing a lot of shots. But the team played really well. I'm not sure if some of that has to do with McKinnon still getting healthy and back into game shape and recovering from COVID and what it can do to your cardiovascular you know skill and stuff like that. But yeah, no. So the game I thought that was going to be the toughest turned out to be one of the easier ones for Washington. They had no problem with the Avalanche, which is encouraging because they should be a top team this year. So outside of them demolishing the Rangers, it was cool to see them play another tough team and really hold their own, if not just kind of roll over them. So yeah, they ended up closing that game out 6-3. Kuznetsov has looked really well. He scored in that game, and he's been flying out there. Even outside, I think he put 2 in that game. But even outside of that, he's been flying, much like he was in 2018. Which, as a Cavs fan, this is encouraging because when you get Backstrom back, that is a sick 1-2 center punch. Then on Thursday, it saw the Caps playing the Devils. They're another banged up team. Going into the season, that's obviously a game that you circle on your calendar that you're going to win. You need those 2 points if you're going to be a top team in the league. Those are the teams you definitely need to beat. You can't be taking losses to them, especially because they are in the Metro as well. But New Jersey was a little banged up. Jack Hughes had got hurt the game prior, so he was out. Something to do with his shoulder. Apparently, he doesn't need surgery, but he will be rehabbing it for quite a while. The Capitals were able to pull away with a 4-1 win. Again, the Devils' goalie situation, that their goalie had gotten hurt too, so they were playing their third string. So it was a pretty kind of game where you're going through the motions. And for Washington, they came away with a 4-1 win pretty easily. Ovechkin continues to make progress towards Gretzky. He scored a couple times over the course of last week. I think that Brett Hull is next on the list for 4th overall, all time in goals, and Ovechkin should definitely catch him. Hopefully by the end of the month, if not pretty early into the month of November. I think he's only 7 or so goals behind at this point. Um, and then yeah, so Vanacek started that game despite how Sammy played. I think Peter Laviolette put Sammy in versus Colorado just to get him some actual NHL game action instead of just playing in the practices. But he went back with Vanacek versus the Devils, and Vanacek looked pretty good. Going into this week, I thought that the Calgary game would be up in the air. I mentioned in my article, and I believe on my last recap, that the Capitals typically don't do well during afternoon games, and this was a 1 o'clock start versus Calgary, a team they hadn't seen in about 2 years, is what they're saying on the broadcast. So they're definitely getting reacquainted with the Flames and what they have to offer, and I think it bit them in the foot a little bit. Vanacek started that game. Calgary jumped to a 3-0 lead pretty quickly in the first, and but the Caps came out flying during the second. Laviolette made that goaltending change. He put Samsonov in to start the second period, and the Caps were able to tie the game going into the third by scoring 3 straight. Daniel Sprong finally got on the board. He's looked pretty good all year so far. I mean, it's still early, but I'm expecting big things from him to continue. He's going to be a key piece if the Caps are going to go forward as well. And unfortunately, the Caps ended up losing in overtime. Elias Lindholm, as some of you Hurricanes fans know, ended up biting the Capitals in the ass. He got his hat trick goal in overtime. So, I mean, it was good for him. I kind of liked him when he was in Carolina. So it was a little bittersweet. But yeah, it kind of sucked the outcome. But you still get a point, and you're still sitting, at 3-0-2 record. So they haven't had a regulation loss yet. So that's pretty good going forward. Looking into this week coming up, the Capitals should have an easy one. I'm anticipating a 3-0 week for them. They have the Ottawa Senators on Monday, Detroit on Wednesday, and then Arizona on Friday, which I'll be in attendance, so that'd be pretty cool. But all three of those teams aren't that strong. I know Detroit started with a couple wins there and played a good game versus Tampa, but they've been struggling as of late. Fans of the Red Wings are, oh no, we suck again type of situation. So I expect Capitals to make easy work of them. Same with Ottawa. Obviously, Ottawa got Kachuk. He's playing. He signed his contract, so he's playing. He's playing hard, trying to earn the money. But I still think that'll be an easy win for them. As far as starts go, I expect them to go back with Vanacek. Samsonov will probably get. I think he'll get one of those games, but I think Vanacek will play too, kind of like he did this week. But yeah, I mean, anything short of the 3-0, I'll be kind of disappointed. I think this is the time of year where when you see these teams coming up, you do want to win those games. You have them marked as must wins, so you do want to win them in case things slow down for you during the course of the season. And yeah, I mean, Ovechkin, like I said, he's continues to do what he does. Not on the power play either. The goals he's been scoring are off of the power play, so they're not his patented one timer. So he's kind of showing flashes of the Ovechkin we remember from the early 2000 early 2010s and mid 2010s. He's still playing really really hard. Tom Wilson last game versus Calgary seemed to get banged up a little bit, but he didn't leave the game. He just left the ice for a little bit and came back. Nick Dowd is day to day, so they have reinserted Hendrix Lapierre into the lineup. Obviously, I mentioned him before. He's an exciting rookie for the Capitals. After his 2 games, they ended up putting McMichael in, which was to be expected. So McMichael's been drawing that third line slot, but with Dowd potentially out starting this week, McMichael shifted up to that second line, and Lapierre got back in that third line center slot. So it'll definitely be interesting going forward. I definitely think they need to take advantage of this week because that first week in November, they're playing some heavy hitters with Tampa, Florida, and Philly. So when you see Ottawa, Detroit, and Arizona on the schedule, you definitely want to take care of those teams. It's definitely exciting. I'm definitely encouraged. Nick Jensen, I mentioned him as one of my stars of last week. I'd put him right up there again this week. He's continued to look good. He's actually, scored a goal and put up a couple assists here too. So he just continues to impress, even outside of like the score sheet. He just looks so poised and calm with the puck. He makes some sick fakes, and then he'll be able to make a breakout pass. And he's not hesitant. You can tell he's very confident in what he's doing and why he's doing it, and it's really working out with the Caps. Rookie defenseman, he's been paired with John Carlson. Martin Fehervary, he scored his first NHL goal versus Calgary at a much needed time. It brought the Caps within 1 versus Calgary when they were making their comeback. And it's exciting to see that too because he has so much upside, and he really hasn't had any gaffes. Obviously, he's playing first line minutes, and it's his rookie year, so you think he'd stand out in a negative way occasionally, but his speed allows him to keep up with these NHL players, and he does look like he's been in the league a little bit longer than he has. So that's encouraging as well. Just really can't complain about the start to the season. Can't complain about week 2. Happy they don't have a regulation loss. You're collecting points when you should. Early games, you want to build as much of a lead on some of these teams as you can and hopefully finish at the top of the Metro and get some home ice playoff advantage. I know O'Reilly from the podcast likes to call them the Washington Grandpas, but they continue to play pretty lights out right now. So I'm looking forward to that and looking forward to that continue, and I'm excited for this week. Hopefully, if Ovechkin can maybe get a hat trick or 2 here before Friday, I might be in attendance to see him tie Brett Hull, which would be awesome. I'm pretty excited. I don't want to count my eggs before they hatch, right? But the potential's there, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm pleased with the Cavs' progress, and I can't wait to see what happens this coming week.